At 3 o'clock in the morning on February 2nd, 1502, a single cry echoed through the stone corridors of the Est Castle in Ferrara. The sound was neither terror nor pain. It was the signal of a secret political ritual, one that every guard, courtier, and diplomat recognized instantly. They lowered their eyes, exchanged tense glances, and listened in silence, fully aware that the events unfolding behind locked doors were not simply intimate, they were political. Ferrara slept beneath a blood-red winter moon, unaware that within the ducal chambers, a moment was taking shape that would alter the balance of Italian power. For nearly 5 centuries, archives concealed what truly happened that night. When those documents resurfaced, they revealed how a 22-year-old woman, twice widowed through political schemes, turned her survival into the sharpest diplomatic weapon of her age. This is the story of Lucrezia Borgia, daughter of a pope, survivor of scandal, and a woman whose wedding night became a cornerstone of Renaissance power politics. Italy 1502, a country of fragile alliances. The Borgia influence was at its height. Pope Alexander VI, Lucrezia's father, used marriage alliances to turn his children into political instruments. Italy was not a unified state. It was a fractured mosaic of duchies, city-states, and rival powers. Ferrara, Milan, Naples, Florence, Venice, and the Papal States. Every alliance mattered. Every marriage was a treaty. Every private chamber could decide the fate of families and nations. For the Este family of Ferrara, the stakes could not have been higher. Their future depended on aligning with the Borgias. Lucrezia's dowry of 100,000 gold ducats was enormous, but the real price of this marriage would be measured in legitimacy, proof, and documentation. Lucrezia, the survivor. Lucrezia entered Ferrara with a reputation as bright as her beauty and as dark as the rumors that followed her. Her first marriage had ended in annulment. Her second husband had been murdered inside the Vatican, and gossip had long painted her as a pawn in Borgia intrigue. But beneath the surface was a woman who understood the rules of her world better than most. She knew that weakness in marriage meant weakness in politics, and weakness in politics could cost a life. Alfonso d'Este, the Prince of Iron and Fire. Her new husband, Alfonso d'Este, was the opposite of courtly softness. A soldier, an engineer, a man who forged his own cannons. Disciplined, intelligent, and respected. Weeks before the wedding, an unexpected meeting between the two had changed everything. Lucrezia and Alfonso discovered a spark of genuine attraction, rare in arranged alliances, and dangerous because it added emotion to a night built on pure political necessity. The political ritual of the wedding night. February 2nd was chosen deliberately, the feast of the purification of the Virgin. The symbolism fused sacred ritual with dynastic purpose. Inside the ducal apartments, crimson curtains framed the chamber like a stage. Candelabras flickered against tapestries of war and alliances. This was not simply a room, it was a political theater. Hidden in adjacent corridors were silent witnesses, scribes, officials, and spies, placed there to ensure that the marriage was legally irrefutable. Such observation was standard practice among European nobility. Legitimacy required documentation. Without proof, any union could be challenged, annulled, or weaponized by rival factions. Lucrezia knew this better than anyone. Alfonso understood it too. The night was a test of duty, of reputation, and of political survival. By dawn, both had fulfilled the requirements of the ritual. The alliance was sealed. The documents were signed and stored. And Italy had a new axis of power, the Est Borgia bond. The aftermath, rivalries awaken. The morning after transformed Lucrezia's position forever. No longer an outsider, she became essential to Ferrara's future. Her legitimacy was no longer questioned. It was proven and recorded. But one person was far from pleased. Isabella d'Este, Alfonso's sister-in-law, one of the most powerful women in Europe, had expected to dominate Ferrara's court. Lucrezia's arrival threatened her authority. Her pride suffered another blow when her own chancellor, secretly watching the wedding night, reported back that the alliance was secure. Humiliation turned into rivalry, a rivalry that would silently shape Ferrara for years. Tragedy and resurrection. In September 1502, Lucrezia went into labor and gave birth to a stillborn daughter after violent convulsions. She nearly died. Childbirth was deadly in the Renaissance, and her survival was seen as a sign of her remarkable resilience. But the tragedy hardened her outlook. She realized survival required more than beauty or grace. It required strategy. A dangerous alliance with Francesco Gonzaga. Around a year later, Lucrezia formed an unexpected bond with Francesco Gonzaga, Marquis of Mantua, and Isabella d'Este's husband. The relationship blended genuine affection with political calculation. Francesco offered protection beyond Ferrara. Lucrezia offered influence, intellect, and companionship. Their letters, uncovered centuries later, show a connection based not on scandal but mutual trust and political understanding. For Isabella d'Este, this was a devastating and deeply personal defeat. Her rival had touched the one place she considered untouchable, her marriage. The rivalry turned into psychological warfare. Gestures, rumors, correspondence, alliances, silent confrontations. The establishment of a dynasty. Despite court turbulence, Lucrezia fulfilled her dynastic duties. She bore legitimate heirs to Alfonso, securing the continuity of the Este family line. Each child strengthened her position. Each birth affirmed the political success of the alliance formed on that February night. Lucrezia evolved into one of the most respected duchesses of her age. Under her guidance, Ferrara became a flourishing center of culture, music, and art. No longer a pawn, she had become a strategist. The political blueprint of the Renaissance. The ritual of Lucrezia's wedding night, once hidden in archives, now stands as one of the clearest demonstrations of Renaissance political reality. Marriages were treaties. Bedrooms were courtrooms. Heirs were guarantees. Documentation was protection. Intimacy was diplomacy. The Este Borgia model spread across Europe. Consummation required witnesses for legitimacy. Dynasties adopted systems of documentation to prevent annulments or political sabotage. The hidden power of Renaissance women. Lucrezia was not alone in mastering these systems. Catherine de' Medici controlled 3 French kings through strategic alliances. Anne Boleyn reshaped England's entire religious landscape. Isabella of Castile unified Spain through carefully orchestrated marriage protocols. History often portrays these women as passive, but the records reveal the opposite. They navigated dangerous political landscapes using intelligence, diplomacy, and control over their social worlds. Lucrezia's legacy. Lucrezia Borgia's transformation is one of the most remarkable of the Renaissance. From political pawn to duchess, from survivor to strategist, from outsider to indispensable cornerstone of the Este dynasty. The events of February 2nd, 1502 were more than a night, they were a turning point. They created a political alliance that reshaped Italy's balance of power. They protected Ferrara for decades, and they revealed the hidden mechanisms of aristocratic diplomacy. Behind the silks, the ceremonies, and the myths lies a far more fascinating truth. Renaissance power was built as much in private chambers as on public battlefields. Lucrezia understood this better than any woman of her age, and she used that understanding to rewrite her destiny, and with it, the destiny of Italy.